Hey, folks.
Hello, everyone. Let me throw another reminder into Slack that we are starting. I just shared my screen with the Etherpad. So this is the agenda for today. We will start with the Boston University Mentorship Program. I saw I think at least a couple of students who are on already. Then we have two other CI related topics to discuss today. We'll see if we get through all of them today, or if there's anything that will move over to Tuesday from that. Does the agenda look good for everyone so far, or is there anything that you all would like to make as changes?
I think it looks fine. I think the CI required state guidelines probably won't take much more than 15 minutes, but either having a little bit of break or more time on the wider Tailorbird initiative makes sense. So it might be that 1400 rather than 1415 is the kind of switch over for that.
Okay. Do you want that changed in the agenda
I guess
now,
we,
or
yeah, I
just
guess we might as well
okay?
because we've already had quite a bit of discussion on the CI required job guidelines. So it was just somebody suggested we talked about it on AC and someone suggested bringing
Okay.
it to vPTG for a wider audience. But I guess it at the moment doesn't look like we've got a wider audience. So let's see who joins by that point.
Yeah. Let me throw in the Etherpad into the chat here as well. Yeah, I just threw in a reminder on Slack. So I'm hoping that helps a little bit. um,
Yeah, let's hope so.
Also, if you all don't mind, sort of signing in on the Etherpad, we would appreciate that, just to know who attended and were part of the discussion. I will share the recordings once they are available after the sessions this week. Is there anyone who you all know should be here for the topics that we have scheduled today, but haven't joined the call yet? I'm happy to give them a ping.
So I guess we need Viner at least for the CI. I have pinged Viner today and
Okay.
not had a response. I guess in general, having I would expect at least the AC to join, if not more people. But yeah,
Okay.
I guess we didn't get a lot of people who voted on the time slots, so maybe that's because none of them worked this week. But but we also didn't get any feedback that they didn't work. So it's tricky to know if people are planning to
Oh,
join or not.
you mean people who voted for this day slash time slot, they are not here.
Yeah, there is. But although I can see like Aurelian voted for this time slot, and we know he's on vacation, so maybe plans have changed since then.
Yeah. while we are waiting to see if we have a few more people joining in, um, are there any topics that came to people's minds that we should cover during the PTG? I will ping the Coco folks again this week if they can make a joint session on Tuesday or Thursday. If we have all the conversations covered on Monday and Tuesday, then we might be able to sort of reuse the AC call for a Coco join session if people can make that. I only have one screen, so I stopped sharing so I can access Slack. And the next session will also have a presentation, which I will not be sharing myself. Let me know when you all are ready to set up for that. I think anyone who joined the meeting should be able to share their screen, so we don't have a limitation on that.
Yeah, I think we could start any time. Should we wait a couple minutes more for people, or should we just get started?
We officially still have a minute until your session starts. Um, so people who we have on the call today are either Kata community people or Boston University students, or do we have anyone on who is new to both? Okay.
Hey, Iltika, I'm not sure if you saw James's message in chat. Don't know if it's worth us clarifying a little bit about Kata and OpenStack.
Oh yeah, I just see it. Oh, nice. I'm happy to hear that you're learning about OpenStack. Do you have any questions about the project? I mean, OpenStack is pretty big, and I'm currently not personally involved in the project, but I'm happy to help with whatever I can about it.
Yeah, and I guess it's
I'm going into a couple area have a couple newer jobs I'm going into and so I'm just trying to learn the other parts of it. I had worked on Ironic. I also had worked on OpenStack on Power IBM Power. So just need to spread out my knowledge.
So are you currently here to learn about Kata containers?
Yeah, it's like I looked at that. It's like, well, this is something I'm probably going to want to work with. So that's why I figured I'd join this track.
Oh, nice. Did you have an opportunity to read up on
Yeah, I'd gotten more of the basic ideas on it. And that's why I figured this was something I'd want to follow along on.
Okay. So for today, we have a bit more like specialized topic conversations. Do you have any questions about the project or any use case in mind that you would like to use the project for that we can also talk about at one point and help you with?
Not specifically, as I say, I'm probably starting at one of a couple places, either mainly doing support, and I'm never sure exactly which particular pieces they're going to be using. So if you get a little smattering of everything, and so just get an idea of where everything else is.
Okay, that sounds great. So today we have more CI related topics scheduled if everyone makes it to the call today. And for tomorrow, we are planning to have a bit more like 4.0 release related conversations, which I project to be a bit more overview like in terms of
Mhm.
the community's planning to do. So if you have the chance to join tomorrow as well, I think
Mhm.
that would be valuable information to you.
Yeah, I had been doing CI. That's the thing. I had been doing CI. I was also partially looking at that in case I ended up getting back into that.
Awesome. I think that is an area that the community always needs more hands on deck with. So that is awesome to hear. Great. Okay. All right. I think we can roll into the Boston University mentorship program topic and do the presentation and then see what conversation it sparks. I will keep pinging people in the meantime, if that sounds good to everyone.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good. Share my screen. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, maybe just some very quick introductions. I'm Chris Krenz. I'm a master's student in electrical and computer engineering here at Boston University. And I don't know, just real quick, I mean, James, do you want to?
Yeah, hi, I'm James Nee. I'm a senior in computer engineering at Boston University.
And I'm Anna. I'm a senior studying computer science with a minor in computer engineering at Boston University.
I'm Shi Tang, PhD student in computer engineering at Boston University.
Thank you. And yeah, so we're in this course EC 528 on cloud computing. And so for the course, there's a semester-long project where we work with some mentors, outside the university on a project. So we're working with the Kata Containers community, and we're focused on a couple of things. At the moment, we're developing this continuous integration and development dashboard that helps developers see an overview of the tests that have been run, and so they can identify failures and such. And then we're also exploring implementation of something like Prow or some other kind of backend system to help with automating and otherwise facilitating a variety of other kinds of CI/CD tasks. So today we're mostly, I think, going to be focused on the CI dashboard. And I think Shitang, do you want to take this slide, or I can if you'd prefer? Yeah, this is just a brief overview of some of the things we've been working on. So the original dashboard is implemented in jQuery. And so part of what we've done here is propose a shift to a Next.js and React framework instead, which comes some advantages that we'll talk about in a moment. The different pros and cons. But so jQuery, just an overview of some of the terminologies: jQuery, fast, lightweight, JavaScript library. And then Next.js is a React-based framework for server rendered and static web apps. And then React is for the reusable components, another JavaScript library for creating UIs with reusable components. We also explored Bootstrap and Vue a bit. We won't talk much about these. We explored them some. They didn't, for our purposes, seem to offer all that much advantage. But we did explore those as well as some alternative options. So some of the motivations here is the development velocity. So faster to learn React and build with it than from scratch just using jQuery. Of course, developers are going to differ. I mean, some may be faster just in jQuery, but I think for a lot of developers, once React is implemented, it can be a lot faster. And again, with the React components that we can reuse, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We'll show a couple of examples of this, of how it's a bit easier to implement certain things in React. And then again, potentially a lower barrier to entry. Professional web developers are often more comfortable with React than jQuery. Again, obviously developers differ.
And
yeah, James,
yeah, motivating some of the pros for this switch is pros of jQuery is it's a lightweight. It's ever so slightly faster on the scale that we're going to be using it. It's not too much of a difference, but there is a slight speed advantage to jQuery. And obviously it's what the community was using before. So people are a little bit more familiar with it. Now, on the other hand, we've got our Next.js / our React. Some nice things or some pros about it would be it's got pre-built components. As Chris mentioned, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a library for most things that you want to build, and it can help speed up that development time. There's a larger, more active community going on currently, so a little bit better support there. Some things are just much easier to implement. As we were implementing some of the features that were requested upon us, it was 30 minutes in React, or it could be a couple hour task just with jQuery, as we have to make all those components and we can't just bring it in. It's also got state management, and it's got some more modern JS features. Moving on, there are some cons to each one. So of jQuery, it's got backwards compatibility limits with QOL improvements. It's more bloat, so it doesn't compile down. It's a little bit more abstract. And then it's less readable, again, due to that minimal abstraction, which we can show you an example of in a few slides. Some cons of the Next React or the Next.js and React is it requires familiarity with Node, which is not a super difficult thing to learn, but it is still something that may have to be learned by developers. So it is a con. There's more files involved. Things are a little bit more split up. So there's more files to manage. And it's not as traditional as web development in the past. There's no pure HTML, JSS, CSS. It's more just of a Next.js, and then that facilitates everything.
And then just a few more quick slides here. So just to show for developing locally, and the next one will just be if you wanted to deploy to production, just how it's handled in either case. It's very similar. It's essentially the same. Main point here is there's not a huge difference in this respect. Just some different commands to run here, but in both cases you can have it update in real time as you make changes. And going to production, again, similar thing. So currently we just have a cron job that runs that automatically fetches some nightly data. So a lot of these CI tests are run nightly. We fetch that data and we push it to a separate branch. Then when it's merged into main, GitHub Actions will automatically build and deploy a GitHub page. So this is a static GitHub Pages page. And so that updates usually within a minute. And so for Next.js, it's just the same process. So there's not much difference here. And then just a couple more slides, and then we'll get into, I'll hand over to Anna, who can demo, just do sort of a side-by-side of these two versions of the dashboard, the jQuery and the Next.js version. But just a couple slides to give a sense of the code here, how you would implement something. One of the features we implemented was just a checkbox to basically say if you only want to view the tests that have been designated as required, here's how the key component of how we did that in jQuery on the left, and then the Next.js React implementation on the right. Again, developers are going to differ. Some may find the left a bit more intuitive. There's a bit less abstraction here. Personally, I find the right just to be a little bit more readable, a little bit easier to work with. But people are going to differ. Here's an example. I think we haven't quite implemented this yet, but I think it's a good example of the kinds of components that are available in React that are Just it's going to be a bit easier to implement, bit less code if you wanted to do some kind of graph like this. Yeah, React just makes it easier and faster to implement things like this. Yeah, so now we'll go ahead and I'll hand it over to Anna in just a sec, but it's, focused on this dashboard implementation, and we're, interested in further identifying other features that, the community would like. And then again, we could also maybe talk briefly about the GitHub bot we're trying to implement through Prow. So Anna, are you set up to do the demo? If not, I can.
Yes, yeah, let me share my screen. Okay. So this is the current dashboard we have. It's in a forked repository. And we're looking to merge in, but this is the website that we built based on Next.js. The one here is the one that was originally that we continued off of jQuery, but as of last week we got the okay to continue with Next.js, so we haven't been working on the jQuery implementation, but this is how the page looked last. This is the page that we have. It's deployed right now, so it's the same as it was prior in the like the version that's deployed in the original repository, where you have this nightly job view and a drop-down menu to display the individual runs. What we did is we added this required column that indicates if the test was required or not. And you can sort on that, or you can filter. So all of them are true now. We also added the PR view. So if you switch to the PR view and you click on the drop down, it has stats for pull request runs instead of the nightly jobs. We also added a search mechanism. So the search box you see here is part of React's data table filter, but what we did was we linked it to the URL. I already have a search in here, sorry. So this is, right, not searching anything. So if I add, you can see that it applies to the URL as well. And then if you check this as well, it'll keep the search in here. Right, so it was this or indicates that it was match any before. So it'll update on the if you change the operator as well. So if I add a new rule, you can see that it changes to and. So it applies both of these contains rules, and the results only have the ones that contain that, versus if you don't mark this box, and if I put Kimu, it oh, I did starts with, so that won't work because none of the tests start with. Right, but you can see that it's a new search result and it doesn't keep the old search from the search terms. But yeah, so what we're looking to implement next is a way, like for these drop down, more for the PBR view, but also for the nightly jobs. We want to indicate if these tests had to be rerun and how many times. And we were also looking to update, because right now we have one script that fetches all of the data for both of these views. So we were looking into splitting them into two separate scripts so they could be run separately, since the nightly jobs would only ever need to be run nightly. We're also looking to automate the workflow that fetches it so that whenever something is pushed to main, it will trigger the workflow action and refetch the data. And the benefit of that is that if we make changes to like the fetch file and we need different fields in the data, it'll automatically update the data. So the website has the parameters it needs. But yeah, if there's any questions about how this works, it still has clickable links. So if you click on this, it'll take you to the exact test on the run that it's talking about. Right, 531. Right. So yeah. I don't know if there's any questions, but if not, I'll probably just stop sharing my screen.
No, I think it looks good.
Okay. Awesome. But yeah, we're looking forward to what we're doing is we're looking, I think we made the pull request already to switch to Next.js. But yeah, we're looking to make pull requests with all of these features that we just added next as well.
Okay, cool. That was that was going to be my next question. If you didn't cover it, was yeah, how can we help get the cool work you're doing pushed into the main dashboard? But it sounds like you're getting pull requests in place. So I guess I think when we spoke last time on the Cocoa CI call, Aurelian was going to get you like details of the Slack channels and stuff we're in. So I guess if as and when you need any help with dashboard PR reviews and stuff like that, yeah, please let us know, and we'll try and get this stuff moving forward.
Okay, yeah, that sounds awesome. We can just ping you guys on Slack. Should
Yeah,
we
that'd be great.
like because on GitHub we can also like request reviewers. Should we do that or just Slack only?
Probably Slack might be best. The dashboard is set up a little different from the rest of our projects, which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I think it might be helpful for you guys while you're in a bit of a kind of POC phase. So we don't have a set like the set branch protection rules like we have in our core repos, and it's quite a different skill set as you guys have said yourself around the web UI and stuff. So yeah, having a broader range of people to review stuff would be, I think, would be great. And if there is anyone in the community who's got a bit more web development skills and stuff like that, then obviously getting their input would be great. So I think Slack sounds like a good place. And yeah, if you message, we can always cross post it in other channels, which might get a bit more exposure.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What is the feel with regard to like the demo and everything? Like you all who are missing to have a CI dashboard, did the demo look like what you're looking for, or did you envision something different?
It looks good to me. For me, like as a runtime RS QEMU driver developer, I actually appreciate the search options because I'm specifically interested in runtime RS tests ran with QEMU. So the easier it is to find them, the better for me. Also, I was thinking, is any like more advanced charting or visualization capability planned? I know that it might not look like anything important at this point, but my experience is I think it will come. So
Yeah, I think that graphs were definitely on our backlog. We've talked about that. We just that's a step further in our process. I think that we'd want more feedback about what graphs specifically people were interested in. But that's definitely something that we're looking to possibly implement, especially if it's something the community thinks would be useful, definitely.
cool. In that case, I might I mean, I'm no web developer, but I sort of dabbled in that area. And specifically since you're using React, and since the like de facto standard visualization library is or was, I guess it still is D3, and I know that making React and D3 live together in the same page peacefully, it can be a bit of a challenge, because both of them want to manipulate the page's DOM. So it might be useful to keep this in mind, somehow, like maybe prepare, because I do think that graphing and more advanced visualization will probably be required at some point. So it might be good to have a plan, maybe.
Okay, yeah, definitely. That makes sense. We can talk to Aurelian next time. We meet with him next week because he's off this week, so we can bring that up with him.
Cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if anyone has any other like potential features they're interested in seeing in the dashboard, like we're definitely interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning there's a GitHub project page that I've linked in the Zoom chat, which has some of the requests we've already done and the status of what the team are working on. So yeah, and some of those have already been kind of implemented in the demo, like the search and the pre-fill and stuff like that, adding filters for required. And yeah, we reviewed that this on a CI call. I guess it was like a week and a half ago now, if I can remember correctly, with some of the Cocoa CI folks, and gave some feedback and made some more suggestions. And I think Aurelian's kind of added them onto that list as well. So yeah, looking good. And yeah, if people want more features, check out that you just raise them as issues on the dashboard web page. But if you want to see what the status is at the moment, there's that project page I linked. Any more questions for the Boston Uni team? Cool. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, we look forward to the features you've done getting merged. I'm looking forward to using them and trying out the dashboard with them. So yeah, thanks for the work. And yeah, as I said, let us know if we can help get things moving forward.
For sure, for sure. Thank you guys so much for having us and listening and giving us feedback.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for making the time and doing the presentation here. It was great. The session is recorded, so the Etherpad that I linked, I will throw in the link to the recording later. It will be the recording of the full session, but if you can use the presentation recording anywhere, I don't know if you need that for anything at Boston University in the course program, but the recording will be available later.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good to know. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like that we are ready to move on to the next topic.
I think that's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Sorry, let me start sharing. And hi to the folks who've joined while we've started as well. It's good to see more people. So, sorry, start sharing, but now I've lost the screen. Cool. So, yeah, basically we just wanted to raise a change that we proposed and worked on in an AC meeting a few weeks ago on the vPTG, just so that we could get a bit more wider view on, and it's related to trying to solidify the rules on the required jobs. So just a bit of background for people. When you have a PR, let me find one that we've run some CI on. When we've got PR, we have a whole bunch of jobs which are required state, which we, at the moment, we manually maintain, but there's plans with this kind of gatekeeper and some of the work that Lukash has been looking at to improve this and make it controlled via a YAML file. But yeah, we have these kind of required jobs. The output of the required job is for a relevant PR run. If not all the required jobs are passing, then you can't merge the PR. So like in this case, we'd be blocked by merging because they don't all have green required status. So we have a lot of jobs, as you can probably see by the kind of list here. I think we're at around 290-ish jobs that will run on each PR. Again, some of the work Lukash has done, which we might talk about in the next CI session, is to trim whether we actually need to run all of those. But we want to understand how things get required. If jobs get made required before they're ready, then it causes problems, because if we've got an unreliable job that's been required, then it blocks anyone from doing PRs unless we have to use admin rights to force, which we don't like to do when tests are failing, especially. So we came up with a proposal for required jobs, which I wrote up in the CI README which is just on our GitHub in case you want to look at it. And if I find the right section. Yeah, so it just talks about the types of jobs. So a required job needs to pass for all PRs to be merged. And we also have non-required jobs, which are also important, but features are either because it's still experimental, or if the architecture the job runs on is not reliable or anything like that. We have jobs which are not required. We still run those tests, but if they fail, it doesn't block anyone from doing anything. So we wanted to tighten up the kind of and formalize the rules between when jobs get made required and non-required and move in between those states. So the kind of our start point was for a new job or a job that hasn't been made required before, is we proposed that we have we have 10 days of passing tests and no passing nightly tests, I'll say for the moment, and no relevant PR failures. So what we mean by that, and this is the old, not as nice dashboard compared to what the Boston Uni team showed, but this is our dashboard, which seems to be missing some data because we're only showing 7 days at the moment. In theory, shows 10 days of runs. So we can see in here, like you can see an example, I'll pick, which has been failing for a long time, but like the cryo job is constantly failing. I know Julian is looking on it in the background, but an example being, we wouldn't want to make this job required because on the nightlies it's failed a lot, so it's not necessarily reliable. And if we find an opposite example, the Dragon Ball Kubernetes tests, they have passed 7 out of the last 7 times on the nightlies. Nightly test failures are not they're not perfect. Like if something happens to pass on all of the nightlies but fail on all the PRs, it still causes a problem. So that's why we have this section with no relevant PR failures on the job reported. But our kind of start point is, if you've got a new job, 10 days of passing means you're kind of eligible to be required. The other new thing that we want to, we've kind of added this time, is when a job is made required, we also need 1 or more, ideally, nominated maintainers that are responsible for that job. So we don't want to get in a situation where people go, oh, I want this job as required, but no one's willing to, if it fails, we have no one to contact about. So I don't know if we've got any good examples, but something that came up recently, which I think is in the static tests rather than these, but someone was asking about the Darwin tests, and at the moment, I don't think we have any contributors from Apple who are maintaining the Darwin tests. They're not failing at the moment, so it's not a problem. But if there were some new specific Darwin architecture or any other architecture tests, we would want to say who is responsible for looking after these so that we know who to contact if they fail. Another one of the enhancements that is on the CI dashboard, which I'll just drag across from the project board, that we talked about the team, is being able to add the maintainers here. So in the new nice version of the dashboard, we'll have an extra column with the maintainers, which will give a link. So if you go in and go, oh, this test is required, because as you saw as well, you can also filter down the required jobs. And if we see that there's a job that is failing, it's causing problems, and it's required, you can look up on the dashboard and know who to contact from the maintainers list. So that's this kind of note, is we plan to show that in future. The kind of expectation from a required job and the maintainers is that we said, because it is quite can be quite a challenge if there's jobs on blocking PRs, if jobs are not stable, is we initially said that we expected within 1 working day. So if a job fails at midnight on Saturday, we don't expect anyone to have to log in and fix it on Saturday, but within 1 working day. So in that case, by the end of day, Monday, I guess, we would like the maintainers to kind of acknowledge the issue, perform an investigation, either have a fix for it, or we switch it to be marked as non-required while the fix is done or the investigation is continued. And once the job has been marked as non-required, we then would look for at least 2 consecutive successful nightly test runs before making it required again. I think I also wrote, a note here, which this is our kind of initial stab at the guidelines. They might be updated and the architecture committee can overrule these. So an example of where we might want to do that is if we yo-yo between things. So if you have a job that fails, then you get 2 passing tests. So we make it required and it fails again, you get 2 passing, and like as it proves less stable, we might ask for more demands before we make it re-required, or kick you back into the initial period where we're looking for 10 days of stability. But yeah, hopefully that made some sense to people, and that's our kind of starting suggestion for what we document as the requirements for jobs being required. Sorry, requirements. Yeah, the guidelines for jobs being required. Don't want to overload requirements. So any feedback or thoughts on this? positive or negative, would be appreciated. And that's kind of what this session was about. I think the AC was in favor of this, but it obviously affects a lot of the community, which is why we wanted the chance to discuss it on the vPTG. So I guess we've got no positives and no negatives, so everyone is mostly meh about the changes. That's fair enough. Okay, so does anyone have any objections to us kind of merging this this initial proposal? Well, we left it in draft deliberately to have the chance to discuss it at the vPTG, but if we don't have any objections, then we can get it merged in and then add some clarity. One of the reasons for wanting to get this clarity is a few teams who are work on Cocoa but aren't necessarily part of the Kata community have been asking about, oh, how do we get our jobs made required? Can we make them? We're worried about people breaking us, and that's why we wanted to be really clear. We've kind of had this process kind of informally at around 7 days of passing for a while. But we wanted to formalize. So rather than going, oh, it's whenever 7 days from whenever someone noticed, we wanted to say, right, this is the criteria. This is how we're checking it with the dashboard. So that's a bit of the motivation I probably should have started with. Okay.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Jens.
Can you hear me? Hey. So no objection from me. Thanks for doing this. Now I needed that clarity. Very well done, everyone. Thank you. Can you maybe just summarize for me in 2 sentences what are the biggest changes now? Is it more strict than before, or is it just more clear?
Sure. So I think more clear and actually have it written down. It is
Mm.
slightly more strict than convention. We normally informally worked on 7 days, but it was kind of 7 days from when somebody made the request. So whereas because we have the dashboard, which I've lost the link for, we can go back and look at history. So it used to be if you made a request, then I'd start monitoring the jobs for the next 7 days, and at the end go, oh, it was green. Okay, we're happy. Whereas now we kind of the expectation is you can monitor the jobs yourself and you can come with us. So that was why I made the request to have like a pre-filter here in the URI, which the team have got on the new board, so that you can go, oh, that's a bad QMUs for everything. So you could say if it's TDX, then you could go, look, we've got 7 days or 10 days of passing, therefore we're eligible now, and this is who our maintainer will be. Whereas, and in this case for TDX, we'd go, oh, maybe come back again in a few days because there was a failure. And there's some nuance on this. We could look into it if there was, like we had a Quay outage last week, which caused a lot of things to fail. So that might be a case where we go, oh, okay, we've got an explainable failure here. So we're happy to set it required anyway. But yeah, it's trying to just make it tightened up. So it's not just whoever, if you get somebody on the AC who's having a good day, then they'll go, oh yeah, sure, that looks green, and pass it through. Whereas if you get somebody who's not, then they might go, oh no, I'm still not sure about this. So that's the main motivation and change involved is just trying to document that process so there's less human interpretation, but human interpretation is always important in cases like if this one is, I don't know if it was, but if it was a Quay.io outage, then we don't want to penalize everybody for that.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Welcome. questions on this? Cool. We'll look to get this in, so I will add, well, I guess after the new AC have been confirmed, I'll add the AC members as reviewers here, so we can get their sign off as well. We did discuss it on the call, or we'll bring it up on a Thursday or the week after call for vote. But thanks, folks. So the next topic was led by Viner, so I don't know if anyone from Red Hat knows if he's around. I've tried pinging him, but not heard.
Yeah, I tried to ping him as well with no success so far.
Do we want to have like a 5 minute break or I don't know, a few minutes break and then see if anyone can reach Weiner, and if not, then we will reconfigure? Or do you have any other preference?
No, I think a 5 minute break makes a lot of sense.
Okay, then try to reconvene back here 5 after the hour.
Cool. Speak to you
Alright.
soon, folks.
Okay, it's 5 after the hour. Anyone succeeded with catching Weiner? Because I don't see.
Unfortunately not.
Okay. I'm looking at the topics that we have for tomorrow, and I don't know if we have enough people to discuss the GitHub teams and org ownership cleanup topic maybe as a fallback.
Yeah, that was going to be my suggestion. I think we can at least discuss a potential proposal for that, even if we might need a few more people to sign it off, which we can maybe do an AC meeting.
Okay, I'll move things around in the agenda then. And if anyone is able to catch Weiner, then I'll just have the what's next for CI tomorrow at 1400 UTC for now at least.
Do you want me to screen share for the GitHub teams and org? I think it was me that added it.
If you can, that would be great.
Cool. I didn't know if you wanted to, but I'm happy to otherwise.
Yeah, there's a PTG bot, so like while everyone is talking, I control it through IRC, so I can like put it on the PTG event page what the currently discussed topic is for people to see and try to take some notes and
Cool.
the agenda Etherpad as well. And if I'm sharing my screen, then I can't do these things efficiently.
Yeah, no worries.
So appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll just wait for the agenda to be updated, and then, or let me know when you're ready, and we can
Ready
start.
now. Yeah,
Cool.
it's added now.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things we wanted to well, I thought would be useful to do is to I guess have a review of the Kata org owners and the teams, and B, have a discussion or proposal on when and how we do this process. So I'll give my sole opinion, not speaking for the rest of the AC on this. But for example, in the Kata org, there's certain things that can only happen by org owners. So, for example, making project org boards public, modifying the teams. So if the teams are out of date, they can only be modified by org owners, is my understanding. And the org ownership list for Kata feels very backdated or out of date to me. So there's 19 people on this list, but a fair number of these, it's very Intel heavy for better or for worse. And a fair number of people on the list don't seem to be actively involved in the project or haven't been actively involved in the project for quite a long time. And of the current AC, we have only got Fupan and Tao on the list. So, for example, when there's been stuff that I've wanted to do, myself and Greg have talked about updating teams and things like that. We have to go. Luckily, with Ildiko, you managed to get ownership a little while ago, but apart from that, we're not able to do a bunch of actions ourselves. So I guess having some discussion of who should be in the org owners list and how and when we update it, my potential proposal would be so Ildiko or whoever is our community manager should definitely always be on. I think there is a strong argument that the current AC members should be owners, whether there's a bunch of people on here for historical purposes. I don't know if they should all be kept. I guess like Thierry's on representing open infra or something like that. So having some people from, I guess, open infra have got their own rules around it. For example, I know CNCF for Coco, they have some people who are automatically owners of the org. So I guess there's going to be some open infra people. But yeah, having a review of that list and deciding who we should remove from this, who we should add to this list, would be helpful. And then the kind of second topic is just reviewing the teams lists we have. Partly, some of them are quite out of date, like for instance, an easy one to spot, predictors listed on the IBM Power team, whereas someone from Red Hat can probably confirm, but I think predictors, I think it's at least 3 years plus since predictor moved over, so that should be updated. And like Amelia from IBM is looking after Power, so she should be in place, but there might be some teams that we're not sure if they provide a massive amount of relevance anymore. Like there's, I don't know if I can find it, but there's like a Jenkins admin team, but we're not using Jenkins at the moment, so it might be we can just go, let's clean up some of these teams. Some of the context is, I think it's just good patterns and behavior to keep this stuff up to date. But the other thing is, on the previous topic, if people were on the call where I talked about maintainers, the way that Aurelian is envisaging that is that the maintainers will each have groups. So for example, the S390X jobs, the maintainer of those jobs will be, or maintainers will be denoted by the Arch S390X group list. So in the dashboard, if something's wrong, you can click on the group list and it will, the maintainers, and it will take you here. So you go, oh, let's go message Troy about this, or I don't know if there's another example, good example to pick, but yeah, that's the idea. So not only do we think it's good to have these up to date just for cleanliness practices, but we want to maybe start using these more, or being able to start using them more. So that's my kind of couple of topics. I guess we can start on the owners discussion. And yeah, I don't know, Ildiko, maybe, I don't know if it's open infra who have the kind of final say on who the owner of the org is, or is that something that belongs to the AC to vote on, or a combination of the two?
I don't know the history of how this was set up, but I mean, it looks like that there are quite a few people on the owners list. So from that, I would say that maybe a combination of the two. I don't think any of us from Open Infra would specifically want to control who's on the owners list. However, we might have suggestions and recommendations. So in that sense, I think a combination could be a good idea. I don't know if y'all had any experiences in the past that would point towards having rather more people, having rather less people. I don't know if anyone has ever misused an owner role before. I haven't heard, but I don't have the full history GitHub organization to be able to answer that.
That's, yeah. So without causing any challenge, I'm not necessarily sure I'd say that we have evidence of people misusing it, but certain people who are on this list who are no longer part of the AC do use their admin rights, and I don't think they've ever used them in a negative way. They've used them when CI has been blocked and PRs are getting merged to push stuff through, but there is potentially a challenge or worry for the project that is an option that people who are not actively involved or in the project or who are no longer in a formal leadership position in the project might have the ability to do that. And it feels like if there's a case for stuff like that, then potentially we could use another team for that if we want a wider group of people to have rights to do certain things, then like admin rights on GitHub to go and change requirements for jobs and stuff like that, and maybe having a different role would be helpful for that rather than just going, oh well, it's helpful to have a bunch of people, because ownership is quite a do have quite a lot of power. Like I think you have admin rights on any project, any sub project within it. I guess you can delete any repo, potentially even delete the org. So whilst I'm not trying to suggest that anyone on this list would act in a negative way. It feels like from a community governance point of view, having this regular review to try and keep the ownership list fairly tight, but we want to have good coverage across time zones, I guess, in case of things being blocked. But like I say, we might be able to do that another way. We do have a. Sorry, go ahead, Ildiko.
No, I mean, please finish. I don't know if you wanted to say more things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for example, in the AC, we do have, especially now Swonko's moved to Canada, we've got pretty good time zone coverage. And depending on who might get elected, well, we would expect there'll be at least one person in the Americas more soon. So we've got coverage in Asia, Europe, and Americas. So in terms of the AC plus a couple of people like yourself, Ildiko, it feels like we're in a reasonably good position that we don't need to necessarily artificially say, oh, we need to go and find somebody who's based in Fiji or Alaska or somewhere like that we can have as extra coverage.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the foundation people like Jonathan and myself, we are in North America currently, and Theory is in Europe. So that's at least two of the major time zone regions covered. So and I mean, I support what you said in terms of like how powerful an ownership role is. And even with my question, I didn't really mean anyone abusing power on purpose, but it's really easy to also make mistakes. And when you have every right within the org, then some of the mistakes might be more consequential. And like unblocking CI and things, like if that requires some jobs to be set to be non-required, is that really what the community wants, or can it be fixed and remain required because it's testing something so important that if it's broken, then that it means that the project is broken. And I think making those type of decisions is reasonable to leave those decisions with the project leadership group and any specific people who are approved by the leadership group to say making those type of decisions. And when it comes to revisiting the owners list, like we have a staggered election for the AC. So on one hand, that should be if we have new AC members or someone who's not on the AC anymore, then that already gives a reason to refresh the owners list, and that can also be an opportunity to revisit if there's anyone else up there besides the current AC, whether or not they should still be there. So we can have like a twice a year checkup if we couple this with the AC elections, maybe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the AC elections is actually a good example of where after the last two elections, I've wanted to add the newly elected people to the architecture committee list. And I've had to ask Fabiano, who is an ex-AC member, in order to add them because I don't have permission to do that. So it's just fairly small things like that, but they just add extra friction. You've got to go via other people. Obviously now, Ildiko, you've got ownership, which is really useful as well to help with that sort of thing. But yeah, that's an example of when would be a good time to have an audit. I don't know if it is interesting for people as another note, but the Cocoa Steering Committee had a discussion about this recently, and this is not even owners, this is just project maintainers, which is kind of the next step down. And we kind of have the committers and the maintainers as they mean the same thing across the two projects. They kind of voted to decide that if you've not been an active contributor for 6 months, then you're eligible to be removed as a maintainer. And I'm not necessarily saying we want to exactly copy that rule, but I think there's people on this list who haven't made contributions to Kata for multiple years, let alone 6 months. So that might be an example. I don't know what the other. I'm not sure if you're aware, Ildiko, what the other OpenInfra Foundation projects use as their guidelines for this sort of thing, and whether we can learn some good practices from them. But I thought the Cocoa one might be an interesting data point.
So other projects are using Garrett, which is probably a little bit of a different way compared to how GitHub is allowing to do things. What we have in Garrett, the initial setup of the project is done by the Open Infra Foundation plus the Open Dev community, the people who have admin rights to Garrett there. So you need one person who's able to make changes in new projects and new repos in Garrett. And in projects like OpenStack and Starling X, you have like a technical committee or technical steering committee, and they have some governance repos where there are different roles that that the group of people have, like voting roles or being able to approve changes to merge, like the +1 rights. And there's usually a core group assigned to both the governance type of repos as well as project repos. And the core group usually has the +2 and approval rights. And anyone who is in that core group is able to add others or remove people from that core group. So as a community manager, when we set up Starling X, I was added to be able to add core reviewers, to create the groups and add core reviewers. And once that happened, they even removed me, I think, from most of the core reviewer group, and they are maintaining that for themselves. So I'm not sure what is the one-to-one mapping between Garrett and GitHub in terms of owner, because I think the core reviewer group translates more to the teams and the admins that Steve you were showing, as opposed to owners. but I'm not 100% sure if that's a fully accurate statement. But I would think that based on the rights that the people have, I think that's more of the mapping. So it's definitely a smaller full admin rights group versus having people power to do the specific things that they are they are responsible for, and they are participating in the community to do so, and so that they should be able to do those things. Is this helpful, or am I just rambling?
I think it's useful to understand the types of people who have that admin and ownership roles. So, but yeah, like you say, it doesn't quite map. But
I mean, when it comes to the owners in GitHub, like if we say that we have a handful of people from the Open Infra Foundation, so if the community has any challenges, like if you only have one person and the person is on vacation, unavailable for whatever reason, then you don't have a backup. If we have multiple people from the foundation, then if there's anything that needs to be done, you can always reach us to help. And then having the Kata AC as owners, who else do you think would be needed to be an owner with all the rights that you listed earlier? Do you think there's anyone else who must have that role for the community and the GitHub org to remain functional?
I don't think so. But it might be that there's some of these people on the list are doing more stuff than I realize, and so that we might find that out. But yeah, initially, because the viewers or my view is the AC is when people our process is when we want to add people as committers or maintainers to the repo, is the AC is asked to give their +1s or quorum of the AC. So at the moment, we can't then go and add people, which is a bit of a funny situation. But if we fix that, then you kind of say, well, if the AC needs to be involved in that decision anyway, then they should be able to add people. No one else should be required for that general team's ownership. I think the AC, well, the expectation is that we are active enough, or they are active enough to maintain things like this, to set up GitHub projects, make them public, things like that. I don't think there's enough day-to-day changes, but lots of people need to be involved. But it could be that we, like you say, there might be select people that we say, oh, this person is doing a lot of changes that does involve setting up a bunch of effect. I don't think you need to be an owner to even create a repo, but maybe setting the rules and stuff for it, admin rights for it. It might be that we say, oh, there are some tasks, so the AC could vote, or the community manager could vote to kind of co-opt people onto the ownership list for a period, maybe that's 6 months or a year period before it gets reviewed. I don't think I'd be against that being in process, but I don't think it's necessarily needed initially.
Anyone else has opinions from the current AC as well as the community on this?
Some of the people on the list, well, obviously don't work anymore on the project and won't work in the project. For example, I'm thinking of David Gibson. If we have some kind of evidence that someone has really moved away from the project, can we just decide to remove it from the list right now? Well,
so are you talking about the committers lists rather than the
yeah,
owners
the
list?
committers list,
Yeah.
but maybe it's the same for some people appear in different lists. So
Yeah, the committers is also a good question, which we can definitely talk about
I
the im sorry, go ahead, Ildiko.
No, I just wanted to say that I think we could couple that with the elections too, if we wanted to, because like the election officials always generate the electorate list, which is the people who contributed in the past 12 months. So that gives you an information about who's active, which it sounds like could be information to feed into the committer list as well if people wanted to use that. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, so good discussion that Lukash and Paul made on the chat is I think the election list just measures who has made commits, whereas you can be an active contributor by doing reviews as well. So we potentially would want to we wouldn't want to necessarily if somebody in a hypothetical scenario, if somebody never writes commits, but they review every single PR with high quality reviews, they are probably the most valuable member in the community. So we wouldn't want to remove their review rights. So we might want to have a little bit of a flexibility on just using that electorate list.
If I may say, I would even argue if we wanted to have those people on the electorate list, because if someone is involved through reviewing, then I think they should have the right to vote for the AC.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, but we'll fix that for the next election because the current one is
yeah.
very
So
actively running, but yeah, loving this.
yeah. So the informal process, which might cover the scenario Greg's talking about, that Fabian and I were running / discussing, which again would need to be written down, was officially we think you need AC agreement to remove people from a list, but we kind of said if there's someone from your company who you are kind of overseeing, then you have the right to remove them from the list if you know they've moved on. So, for example, David might fall under Greg or someone like that, and there's been some people from previous teams I've worked on or inside IBM who are might still even be on the committers list because I can't remove them, don't have permission, but have moved on to other projects. And there's a certain set of people that we will know can be removed without needing to go through that whole approval. But yes, maybe doing that review of people automatically at AC time would be the best approach as long as we can make that make the electorate list work in the boundaries that we want to do, like adding reviewers, for instance. And without wanting to open a can of worms, it might be that we go, oh, do we want to, would there to be an expectation that you would do more than one review or something? Because you could keep active membership by just adding when there's already 2 green ticks, just once every 8 months or 9 months, you could just go in and add a 3rd green tick without actually really reviewing it, and that would keep you active. I don't know how we measure that, or if we just say we don't mind, that's a fine price to pay to not exclude people.
So I would say, like, first of all, the Coco style rule seems fair to me, and second of all, I probably wouldn't want to rely on just metrics that are purely like computable. I think in those edge cases, as you mentioned just now, I think like human inspection and judgment will always be needed. So I would just say a rule of thumb you haven't been able for 6 months, you become eligible for removal. And in edge cases, it could be argued maybe.
Yeah, so we could say that we would, yeah, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, whatever we decide. I guess 12 months lines up nicely with our current electorate list, but doesn't necessarily mean it has to be. But we could say if you're eligible, if you've not contributed based on whatever rules we decide in X time period, we will publish a list of people, and they have a week, 2 weeks, whatever, to come back. Anyone can make the case and say, oh, this person's been on a leave of absence for 6 months, but they're going to be back. I don't know if that's even a good reason, but there's, rather than just going, oh, automatically after 6 or 12 months or whatever, we strike you off, we could say at that regular cadence of election cycle, we publish the list of people who would drop off the list, and then they can always come in and say, oh, I think I still should be a committer because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe they go, oh, I'm still managing all the infrastructure. I've not been committing, but I still am the person that looks after all of the infrastructure for a certain platform. Therefore, I should still have the right to review it or something like that. Don't know what people think about that as to give us that human edge on the computed process, so that people, not necessarily appeals process, but just a double check in the same way we do with the electoral candidate list, where we say this is what our Python script says, but if you think it's wrong, please let us know and we'll review it.
I have an example from how other communities are dealing with a similar thing that's more for the elections. So both the OpenStack and the Starling X community, they have their list of projects in a YAML file that lists the project leads, the repos of the project team, and it also has a section that has an extra dash ATC label, where ATC, it stands for active technical contributor. It's a historical naming of the label. You could probably do better today, but the point is that under that label, there is a list of people who the project team, usually co-reviewers and the project team lead, decides that, hey, I'm aware of a few people who are not contributing code, but maybe they are running a meeting or organizing a meeting, they are doing reviews, so they are active in the project team, but they would not show up in the output of a script that just scans through Git and the merged commits. And that list of people is supposed to be maintained around the election timeframes. When elections come up, project teams are supposed to revisit whether or not the list of people is still accurate. I'm not saying that Kata should use the same process. It is just an example of how other projects are dealing with the fact that you can't always extract the list of active people in the community through automation. Sometimes you just need a way for human interaction, and intervention to say that the script gave a good results in a good chunk of people, but we know that there are more people who are active. So we could decide to maintain the list of people in a file if we wanted, or yes, the other way around, is just to revisit the current people and make sure that we don't drop anybody who's still active. So yeah, there are multiple ways, but if we want to extend the electorate list for Kata for the next round of AC elections, then we need to come up with a way regardless of the committer list in GitHub, how we can identify and document the people who are active but don't have code commits.
Yep. And I guess from an election, again, well, repeating it, similar to the process that I just shared, we do publish that list multiple times. So if anybody, and it might be we don't have anyone that falls into this category, but if anyone did think, oh well, I am active in the project, I just haven't made any commits, then they have the right to ask us, and I guess we would just need to add something formally in the process that says, oh, there is a human can say, the electoral officials or the AC can say, yes, there is good evidence this person is active, even if they're not, so we will add them to the list. So I think that, yeah, just formalizing what that means, because I guess at the moment, if somebody said, oh, I am active, at the moment, the rules around the list generation said you need to have committed, I think. So we would not be able to say, oh yeah, well we know that you are really useful to the community, so we'll add you. But I guess we want to add in the election cycle or the election rules that eligibility if we can't get the tool to automate it.
Yeah, and I guess once we have the process decided and written down, then there's a good chance that the electorate list and the committer list will be kind of the same.
Yep. So I think, well, maybe this is going off topic. We've got Kata Containers committer and Kata Containers maintainer, which I don't think there's anything actually that maintainer gives you above committer, but the committer list is not supposed to be everyone who has a commit. It's almost a reviewer's list. So if you're a committer, you have permission to give a green tick. So I don't think we want to automatically make people, well, we do not want to automatically make anyone who has a commit be eligible to review others. But I think if you have never made any commits, then you would be. So just I might have misunderstood what you were saying there, Ildiko, but
Oh no,
just to
I think
clarify, the electorate list and the committer list shouldn't be the same.
no, I probably mixed up like committer versus maintainer, and I probably misunderstood what the roles of each of these were.
Yeah,
But then
I'm
yeah,
not
the
sure either.
electorate list will be just an input for decisions then, but not the
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the maintainer list does beyond the committer list. I don't know if anyone else on the call does, but I don't know that it used to be related to CI or something like that as well. But obviously the maintainer list is smaller than the committer list, but I'm pretty confident that the committer list is what gives you that green tick. So again, that's come back to the earlier topic about teams. Maybe that's one we go, oh, well, this we don't have a use for this team anymore, so let's just remove it, or let's say, oh, there is a reason for committers, it is important. But
I'm just adding a note to the Etherpad that there are those two groups, and we don't really know what the difference is.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, brother.
Hi. I remember somehow in the past that one of those were needed to trigger CI. Maybe it's the committer. I'm not sure.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So let's see if we can find So in order to trigger the CI through GitHub Actions, you need to have write access basically. So I believe that write access is triggered by the committer, but let me just check. Sorry, just need to get authenticate in. So yeah, so okay, so there is a difference between them. So committers have got write access, which means they can trigger the CI. Maintainers have got maintain access, and the difference between those is is something which I can't remember. There used to be a little guide which explained by default what those roles were, but oh, here we are. So the difference is maintainers can manage some repository settings, I guess. So there is a difference in here. Whether we're using them, I'm not quite sure. So it might be that maintainers can manage the like branch rules. So for example, because I'm on the AC, I have admin rights, so this is how we modify what jobs are required or not. So it might be that maintainers can also do this. So maybe someone like Viner, who's on the maintainers list, could give that a try and see if you can access that. But that, again, whether we actively want that to still be the case or whether that's for legacy, might be interesting. But it looks like there is a difference, but whether it's a difference that we utilize or not, I'm not sure. But we've got examples. Again, on the maintainers list, there's quite a few people on here who haven't actively contributed for a while, like the ownership list. So we should, in the same way, if they do have the permission to effectively enable the branch protection, we should revisit this list as well, beyond the committer list in the same cadence, I guess, as we look at owners.
If we figured out if like what the difference is and if it's like CI related, we might just rename the maintainers group to be a bit more descriptive of what it does.
Yeah. So
And
it's
then update the list of people based on that in that.
yeah. So it's not CI related, it's just sorry. If I'm reading this right, it is just they can manage some repository settings. So we would probably just need to look and see what are those repository settings and is there any value in the difference? And is anyone who is a maintainer needing
And
to do that?
committers cannot do that. Is what
No,
you're
so
saying?
committers have got write access so they can review, they can push, merge PRs, they can run the CI, so all the kind of standard access that we would definitely want, but it's just what's beyond that maintainers, and yeah, that's what we probably want to just double check on. Whereas admins, I think we do want, obviously, needs to be able to modify branch lists, but at the moment, the only admin group, okay, so there is the architecture committee, which is an admin group. We also, so another one to throw into the mix, have a Kata Containers admin list. So again, we've got kind of this is on top of the owners and the AC. There's also other people, which I guess might be related to CI because Magnus is on because he helps manage some of the GARM runners. But again, probably something that we want to like. Thing has unfortunately left. I think it was the last AC cycle, so it might have even been the one before. I'm not sure, but has not been got a new job, so hasn't been involved with the project for quite a number of months, at least 6-9 months. So probably want to remove Samuel's. Samuel's not been a Kata committer. He's been a very strong leader in Coco, but not been on the Kata side for probably 18 months. Gary also is stepped down from the AC. So yeah, there's a bunch of tidying up to do here. So again, that's going to require an owner to do that list, to do that tidy up as the current rules are.
Should this be a task for the new AC to figure out what the structure should be? And I'm obviously available to make it happen.
I think so. I think, yeah, I guess we've had mostly rambling from me the last 50 minutes, but we've got a few questions and proposals. But yeah, we could say that the new AC is should, like, I'm happy potentially in collaboration with yourself, Ildiko, to write some of this up into a proposal, and then we could get the new AC to vote on it and approve it after it's been elected, and then we'll need support to carry that out as well. Probably the first thing to do would be update the owners list, and then the AC would have permission to modify the other groups.
Yep. That sounds good. I took some notes in the PTG Etherpad as well. Please
Yep.
feel free to go and clean it up, modify as needed. And yeah, happy to work with you on typing up the proposal. So
Cool. Do
once
you want
the
to give me
ACs
an action item out of that then?
I'm happy to do that. Yes. In the meantime, does anyone have any last minute questions, comments, concerns, anything to share about this topic?
Thank you for listening, or if you fell asleep during it, that's fine. But my ramblings about this, apologies that it kind of grew into more and more teams and discussions as I realized they were about.
No, I personally think that this was a good use of our time because the org really looks like it needs a big cleanup and tidying up. So I think that using the PTG session to something like this is almost exactly what this event is for, because these kind of topics, like it usually doesn't make it to the AC call because it just seems like too nitty-gritty for the AC call. But then at the PTG, we just have a bit more extended time to dive into something like this, which just has to be done at one point. And it looks like we reached a point when it will get done.
Yeah, I guess is more project governance than architecture discussions. So yeah, just maintenance that, yeah, like you say, needs doing.
Yeah, I mean it needs to get done. So I'm happy that we found the time to figure out some next steps. And it sounds like that we have a plan. So that is great. And we have 6 minutes left from today's session, and I see that Weiner made it to the call as well. So what do you all think to look at the agenda for tomorrow and see if everyone can make it to the topics that are scheduled for tomorrow, or if there's anything that we should rather move over to Thursday? So for tomorrow, we have 4.0 and we have the what's next for CI conversation. I mean, the 4.0 will probably start maybe a bit earlier. I just wanted to leave time for people to be able to jump on the call. So are people available tomorrow to discuss those two topics, or should we try to move either of those to Thursday, and then I'll negotiate with the Cocoa folks about a joint session?
I'm planning to be in tomorrow and Thursday session. So
Weiner, do you have, what is your availability?
Oh yeah, sorry for today. I had to run an errand and I couldn't make it early. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be able to join the PTG from the beginning and have the CI discussion. Uh, but I was thinking that uh, do you guys think that uh 50 minutes is enough to discuss the Kata Containers 4.0? Because I don't know, it maybe it will. I feel that it can take more than 50 minutes, and it's a so important topic.
I honestly just best guessed the time blocks for the sessions. So I don't know how much time the CI topic would need. Like I'm happy to adjust the plans if like you all feel that the 4.0 will take longer and the CI one will take shorter, or move things around based on just timing of things.
Mhm. Yeah, we can also do it tomorrow as we go, right? I mean, if we feel that it's going to take more time, and we can maybe shift the CI to Thursday or something like that.
Mhm.
Make sense?
It
Or do
makes
you prefer to maybe rearrange the agenda now?
um I'm easy. Is there anyone who's planning to participate in a specific topic, or are you all available in general? Because if people are available, then we can just play it by ear tomorrow and then see how things go. I don't want to make this really complicated. I just wanted, I would like to make sure that whenever we are discussing a particular topic, then the person who signed up to lead the topic is available, and people who want to participate in that conversation and are able to voice whether or not they will be available, then they do so. But other than that, I'm happy to keep it flexible. I'm just the idea behind having an agenda is that people who look at it are able to somewhat plan with their time. But other than that, it's okay to leave it flexible. Do you
Okay.
have a preference in terms of whether or not move things around now, or rather just keep it flexible?
Okay.
What
Yeah, I think that never mind. That's my opinion. Keep as is, and I'll be able to make it tomorrow, the CI one, and I plan to also join the Kata 4.0 session.
yeah, and I guess a good data point, which might they're not here, but like Fupan would be probably a key person for the 4.0 topic, and they joined at 1300 UTC today, but I think they dropped while we were on the break. So it might be that if someone like Fupan is not able to continue beyond 1400 UTC, then we might want to respect people's time and availability and reschedule a follow up later anyway. But yeah, I think we can keep it flexible probably tomorrow and see if there's lots more to be discussed. Then maybe we'll go past 1400. But I think it's difficult to predict depending on who's here and what they want to talk about beyond the discussion we had at last PTG.
So what I'm hearing is that we should keep the agenda as is for now, and if tomorrow things go differently, then we just update it and remain flexible about it.
I think would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds good. I'm happy that we revisit it. All right. Then looks like that we have a plan. Officially, we are at the end of today's session. Is there anything, any last minute things that people want to throw in, either to what we discussed today or anything that is planned for the rest of the week, or just anything that came to mind before we close?
I'd just like to say thanks to, I'm not sure if they're still around, but the Boston University team for presenting earlier. It was really cool to see.
I see Chris still on the call, so yeah, I share that. It was really cool to see the progress as well as the demo and everything. And yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the chance to present. It was also great to hear a lot of this other stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your guys' time.
I don't know if the what's next for CI conversation will influence what your work on the dashboard is. But if you think it might, then please join tomorrow. I will try to do my best to keep the PTG .opendev.org page up to date with what the community is discussing. If you don't have capacity to join the whole thing tomorrow, but interested in that particular conversation, the recording of that one will also be available afterwards, same as for the session today. So either way, you're more than welcome to join tomorrow as well if you feel that the conversations would be informative to what you're doing, or if you're just personally interested. And yeah, thank you all for today's sessions. I think they went great and I enjoyed all the conversations that we had. And looking forward to continuing that tomorrow.
Cool. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
I guess just an idea. It might be. I wonder if it's worth putting on Slack the specifics that we're planning to talk about tomorrow, just in case anyone's missed the agenda, and say that at 1300 UTC we've got a 4.0 look and then the CI look, just see if we can get any more interested parties.
Will do.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Great. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.